Um, so, g'day Haley. Thanks for joining me today. Thank you for agreeing to the interview. So basically, what we're going to be doing today is we're just going to be having a look at what your, caffeine intake's like, and sort of how it impacts some studying, like memory and all that stuff like that. But we'll get into it. Now, this is going to be like confidential, and you don't have to talk about anything that you don't want to. And if you want to end the interview at any time, feel free. Just let me know. All of that stuff is going to be like mashed into the front of it, so
Okay.
that's just for
Yeah.
So, just to start, if you want to just tell me about like what kind of drinks do you have throughout the day?
So water, always.
Mm-hmm.
I try to drink about 2 to 3 bottles of water in my frame green.
Okay.
So it's 600 mils. So I try and drink like 1.5 to 2 liters of water a day.
Okay.
I always have a coffee when I wake up in the morning. And I will have another 1 to 2 coffees throughout the day.
Okay.
Depends. Sometimes I'll have like a Coke or something in the afternoon, a little bit of extra caffeine or something. Yeah, or just for taste. Otherwise,
Okay.
that's pretty much it.
Oh, well, I mean, it sound like you're pretty hydrated. I noticed you said that you have, coffee and caffeine, in your Coke. Like, what is your experience with drinking these caffeinated drinks?
I used to hate coffee when I was a kid. I didn't know how my parents drank it. So you know how you like taste the coffee froth when you're a kid, your parents' coffee froth, and I
Yep.
hated it. And then when I was in high school, like year 11, towards the end of year 11, I started to have like a larger workload and need to stay up longer, and so I thought I'd try coffee. And I also watched Gilmore Girls.
Gilmore
And
Girls?
they were always drinking coffee in Gilmore Girls, and that's actually one of the reasons I started drinking coffee, embarrassingly enough.
No, it's, definitely, I'm sure if I'd gotten into Gilmore Girls, it would have been probably the same reason.
Yep.
So how often are you drinking coffee at the moment? Well, any sort of caffeinated drinks?
I probably have 2 to 3 coffees or caffeinated drinks a day. If I have 2 or 3 coffees, I tend not to have a Coke, but if I
Okay.
just have a coffee in the morning, I might have a Coke later in the day.
Yep.
Yeah.
And with those coffees, is it one shot each coffee, or is it 2 shots of coffee each?
It kind of depends throughout the day. Myself, I just make it with 1 shot.
Okay. Yep.
And then if I buy a coffee, usually it's 2 shots in the coffee that I get.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, do you have a particular routine for drinking these beverages, like at a particular time of day, or at any particular day of the week due to class or something?
Yep. So, like I said, I have 1 coffee pretty much every morning when I wake up. And then if I've got an early class, I will tend to come to uni 15 minutes before my class and get a coffee to take as well. So I'm having 2 coffees pretty close together in the morning.
Yeah.
Or I tend just to get a coffee usually when I get to uni, even if it's later in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed you said so you have coffee and then you might have a Coke in the afternoon, depending. Are there any other sort of like caffeinated drinks that you enjoy, like maybe like energy drinks or anything else like that?
I've never actually tried an energy drink.
Oh, really?
No, because I've heard that they have poor effects, like they're very caffeinated, and I need to control that a little bit. And they've also got a lot of sugar in them, so when I say I drink Coke, I have like a Diet Coke or
Okay.
something.
Yep.
It's just the caffeine, not for the sugar.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. And obviously, we've spoken about your main inspiration for getting into coffee as Gilmore Girls. Was there anything else that sort of dragged you into the idea of drinking like coffee for caffeine in the morning?
Yeah, I've kind of always just my parents have always drunk coffee. My parents always drank coffee, I think it's just one of those things that a lot of people like do.
Mm.
And so I thought I'd give it a go when I was starting to get a little bit more stressed and tired in high school. Initially, obviously, you start like a half strength, and I've kind of just like, I liked the taste. I started to want to like the taste, and I started drinking more of it, stronger coffee from there. But yeah, I think it's kind of just something that a lot of people tend to do. It's one of those, I think Australian coffee culture is massive as well. And
Yeah,
there's
definitely.
there's a coffee shop on every single corner, so it's kind of hard to avoid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so from what you've told me, like you seem to drink, caffeine quite regularly.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about sort of what got you into it, but would you be able to sort of tell me, like, why you drink it now? Like, what keeps you going back to drink it, aside from the taste?
Yeah. I think it's just routine, really. I've kind of just gotten used to it, and it's part of my routine and what I do every day. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. I like the taste. It does help me focus a little bit more if I'm tired. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, like, so helps you sort of perk up a bit if you're feeling tired. Are there any sort of like other positives or like benefits from drinking stuff like that?
I think it's probably a mental thing too. Like if once it's part of your routine, if you don't have a coffee one day, you'll kind of trick your brain into thinking that you're tired or you can't focus as well. So part of it's probably mentally having a coffee, or just the act of having a coffee, even if it was decaf. I mean, I've never tried it, but it would probably just trick your brain into thinking it's better focus instead.
Okay. And like, pause. We've got a question here. This question is, what do you enjoy most about drinking these types of drinks? Do you think you could like expand anything further on that, or do you just want me to skip it?
No, I can try. Yeah, I can try.
Action. Okay, and we've sort of touched on this just before, but like, what do you personally enjoy most about drinking these types of drinks?
I mentioned the taste before, and I think you can just have so much variety with coffee as well. So personally, I get a cappuccino because I like the chocolate on top.
Okay.
But there's also different varieties. I think that you can mix it up, and the limited edition drinks at Starbucks and stuff.
They're good, aren't
I know
they?
they're good, and you have to try them. You have to drink caffeine to have them. So
Well, fair enough.
And the superiority of saying you drink a lot of coffee as well.
That
and
is
able to drink it black. Yeah.
So you study, that's correct?
Yes.
And you seem like you live a pretty busy life. How would you say that drinking caffeine impacts your daily life on a whole?
I spend a lot of money on coffee.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, like I said, the routine, having a coffee is kind of just a mental thing. It gets me up in the morning, helps me like wake my brain up so I can focus at uni when I have a long day. I get a coffee in a break sometimes, or when I get to uni, to try and help me focus a bit more. Yeah.
Okay. And then, so we've talked about, getting you up and uni and everything like that. Are there any like specifics in those activities that are impacted with your caffeine like consumption, like positives or negatives? Like how does it affect your uni? Like you said it was pause, I'm rambling my words.
No, that's okay.
What I'm trying
Sorry,
to say
I'm trying.
No. Like I'll just say like go into more specifics about like uni. Cool.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Like how you think it'll impact you.
Yeah. Okay.
Action. Okay, so like are there any activities like uni that are like heavily impacted with your caffeine consumption, like in a good or a bad way?
I think my study habits are definitely better when they're worked around my caffeine, if that makes sense. So,
Yep.
Coffee before I go to class, and then in between, having it something while I study as well, kind of helps with focus and tiredness levels and things like that. And I think I can definitely see that around exams too. When I start to get a little bit more stressed or I have more things on, I'm at uni more studying, I tend to drink more coffee. Like I said, the act of it, the habit, and then just the focus as well, the effects of caffeine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the effects of caffeine, like, what do these effects do to you? Like, what kind of effects does caffeine have to you while you're doing this?
Yeah, I am not the kind of person that gets really shaky if they have too much caffeine, so I'm not super sensitive to it, but I definitely notice that it does help wake me up or keep me focused. I think it's social as well. Like if I'm at uni, just getting a coffee with friends can help reduce my stress, I guess. But the actual drinking of caffeine, yeah, just helps me stay focused, I think.
Okay. Well, as a part of the selection criteria for our study, like you're in your third year of university studies, have you noticed any trends with your caffeine consumption as you progress through your degree? Like, has it remained the same? Has it increased, decreased, or anything like that?
I probably started drinking more coffee as I've probably just gotten older as well, and obviously throughout my degree. When I first started uni, I'd kind of just started drinking coffee or like caffeine, and then as I've become busier and there's been more things going on throughout uni, I've started to drink a bit more caffeine to, like I said, help with focus and tiredness and yeah.
Cool.
Sorry, I feel like I'm saying the same things.
No, I pause. Caleb wrote these questions and they are very repetitive.
That's okay.
Action. Okay. So, you said you're getting older and drinking more caffeine. Like, why do you think that is? Like, is there any specific need for it or anything like that?
I don't think there's a need for my excessive caffeine consumption. I think it's more of a mental thing, and then just socially as well, like going for a coffee or going to even just get a caffeinated drink, even if other people drink energy drinks or something. It's very much an activity that you think helps you focus too.
Yeah.
Or just a good break to go get one of those kinds of drinks to keep studying.
No, that's fine.
Yep.
So, with all that,
Yep.
you said that it's improved, mentally, physically, and just basically an overall attitude. From this, would you think it'd be fair to conclude that consuming caffeine has improved your ability to focus during classwork and lectures and uni work?
Yeah, definitely it has.
Yeah.
I notice it especially when I'm watching lectures and it's not as interactive. You can kind of just sit there when you're still, your body kind of relaxes a little bit, and coffee or caffeine kind of just gives it a bit of a wake up so you can keep focusing for longer periods of time. Yeah.
And cutting to the other side of the coin, how do you think you would, your performance would go if you stopped drinking caffeine?
I think I would definitely be more tired. There wouldn't be as much enjoyment in my day either, because it's one of the highlights of my day, having my coffee. But yeah, in terms of focus and tiredness levels, I definitely think I would notice a difference. Yeah.
Do you notice any changes to your ability to concentrate or remember things, after a coffee?
Not necessarily. I think, like I said, because it helps me focus more when I'm watching lectures and stuff, I definitely think that I would retain more information than if I'm saying, if I'm doing a lecture, for example, at night time when I haven't had caffeine for a few hours, or right in the morning before I've had a coffee. Yeah, I think I'm just less focused, not as into it, and so probably retain less information, yeah.
Okay. Just as a side note, when you're typing this out, maybe say that so caffeine as a whole doesn't directly lead to improved memory loss, but it correlates to improved attention, and that improved attention can result in memory gain. All right. Write it down. And I know you're looking at your phone, so stop looking at your phone and start doing your work.
Come on, Liam.
All right. Action again. So people often say that drinking caffeine improves your ability to focus and remember important information. Like, is it true for your experiences? And like, what are your views on like that sort of statement?
Can you say the statement again? Sorry.
So drinking caffeine improves your ability to focus and remember important information.
I definitely agree with that. I think, like I said, the focus and attention is one part of it, but then associating certain information with an action. So, for example, drinking a coffee or drinking any kind of drink, even if it's caffeinated or not, doing that, having an action associated with something.
Yeah.
So watching a lecture and writing notes, I think definitely helps retain information better and remember, helps with memory.
Okay. Would you be able to describe a time, when drinking caffeine or your coffee had helped you remember like certain bits of information? Like during like uni studies, like during exam times or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. So when I'm in an exam, I can picture a slide, but I can't actually remember what's on the slide, that kind of thing. But you remember like where you studied it and what you were doing then, and often I'm drinking caffeine, drinking a coffee.
Okay.
I don't know if it directly helps me remember specific details, but
Yep.
The action of it and kind of the focus that comes with it, I can probably, when I'm drinking a coffee, more easily remember what I was studying and the kinds of things I was thinking about. Yeah.
Okay. Are there any more examples of when like caffeine has improved, like specifically your memory in the context of like uni studies?
Not necessarily that I can think of off the top of my
No,
head.
that's fine. I'm realizing that this study is a sham. Don't put that in.
It's okay.
Did you notice that there are any specific like caffeinated drinks that have improved your memory, or like your ability to focus like more than another? So you remember you said you had Coke or coffee. Does one sort of work better than the other?
Yeah, I think at night time definitely a Coke helps because I don't drink energy drinks because of the sugar, and I just don't really like the taste as much. Well, not that I've tried it, but I don't think I would like the taste as much. It does definitely pick me up more at night time if I'm studying for an exam the next day or something. I'll tend to have a Coke instead of a coffee.
Mm-hmm.
What's the rest of the question? Sorry.
No, which one do you prefer? Like, which one picks you up better?
In general, coffee.
General coffee?
In general, coffee because I think I drink it more and I prefer the taste to Coke. And I think I just associate it more with focusing, drinking a coffee and doing some study.
So let's say you had a lecture at around lunchtime, and you needed to pick me up. Would you rather go for Coke or coffee?
A coffee.
Coffee?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, how would you describe your general ability to remember things like in the short term?
Pretty good, dependent on what the topic is, but reasonably okay.
Would you describe yourself as hang on. Are you a... Yeah, would you describe yourself as a forgetful person at all?
No. If I know that I have something on and I've written it down, I can remember pretty well when something's like due or if I have something on a particular day.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, even though you're not, that forgetful, do you think that caffeine would sort of assist to improve that short-term memory at all?
Yeah, I think so. Do you want me to say something else?
No,
Change my answer?
you say whatever you want.
Okay.
I don't even know.
Okay.
I've asked like the same question 4 or 5 times.
It's fine.
Anyway, so Yeah.
What's the question again? Sorry, I don't know about this.
Hang on.
Cut.
Play. So would you say caffeine improves your short-term memory, and like
Yes.
to what extent?
It does, because, like I've said, it focus and attention, and just the act of drinking something caffeinated too, can kind of help associate like a memory or having to remember something with doing something.
Okay. Yep.
And generally for me that's drinking a coffee.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much would you say you rely on short-term memory to complete like exams or just study in general?
Big time.
Big time?
Big time. I am very much a crammer when it comes to exams. I try not to be, but I can't help it. So if I'm studying the night before, morning of, yeah, definitely relying a lot on short-term memory to help bring those facts back.
Awesome. And one of our last questions is actually, would it be fair to say that that your ability to remember things, particularly for an exam, is influenced by how much caffeine you drink
Yes.
that day?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Well, that about wraps it up. So do you have any sort of like additional comments or anything you'd like to add?
Nope.
Me either. So we'll be basically going back to analyse the information that you've given me. We'll be submitting the research report in a couple of weeks. I'll be happy to send you a copy of the review at the time if you're interested. Aside from that, I'd just like to thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Boom, bitch. One last smile. I just